These drivers lost control at very high speeds. The result was tragic for one driver and fortunate for the others. But why? What made the difference between walking away and being carried away? The answer can be found in some of the most basic laws of the physical universe. Hi, my name is Griff Jones. I teach high school physics. And behind me is the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety's Vehicle Research Center. It's a fascinating place where research engineers assess the crash performance of vehicles by running tests, and where they evaluate new technologies to prevent injuries, like this state-of-the-art head protection system. What's exciting for me is that this is a laboratory of practical applications in the subject I teach. And because they're set up here to crash cars and analyze those crashes, this research center provides a perfect venue for illustrating the physical laws that govern the outcome of car crashes. So follow me, and for the next few minutes, I'll take you behind the scenes where we can explore the basic science behind vehicle crashes. Let's learn about car crashes and physics. But for now, let's get back to Newton. He explained the relationship between crash forces and inertia in his second law. And the way it's often expressed is F equals ma. The force F is what's needed to move the mass m with the acceleration a. Newton wrote it this way. It's the same thing. Acceleration is the rate at which the velocity changes. But if I multiply each side of the equation by t, I get force times time equals mass times a change in velocity. When Newton described the relationship between force and inertia, he actually spoke in terms of changing momentum with an impulse. What do these terms mean? Momentum is inertia in motion. Newton defined it as the quantity of motion. It's a product of an object's mass, its inertia, and its velocity or speed. Which has more momentum? An 80,000-pound big rig traveling 2 miles per hour? Or a 4,000-pound SUV traveling 40 miles per hour? The answer is they both have the same momentum. Here's the formula. P is for momentum. I don't know why they use P, they just do. Equals M is for mass, and V is for velocity. P equals mv. That's momentum. And what is it that changes an object's momentum? It's called an impulse. It's the product of force and the time during which the force acts. Impulse equals force times time. Here's my favorite demonstration of impulse. I have 2 eggs, same mass. I'm going to try to throw each egg with the same velocity. That means they have the same momentum. If the impulses were equal, why do we have such dramatically different results? The wall applies a big stopping force over a short time. The sheet applies a smaller stopping force over a longer time period. My students say the sheet has more give to it. Both stop the egg, both decelerate the egg's momentum to 0, but it takes a smaller force to reduce the egg's momentum over a longer time. In fact, so much smaller that it doesn't even crack the egg shell. Now let's relate this to automobiles. Both of these cars have the same mass, and both are traveling at the same speed, 30 miles per hour. Like the eggs, they have equal momenta. As a result, it will take equal impulses to reduce their momenta to 0. One car will stop by panic braking, and the other by normal braking. If both drivers are belted so they decelerate with their vehicles, the driver of the car on the bottom will experience more force than the driver on top. This is because if the impulses must be equal to decelerate each car's momentum to 0, the driver that stops in less time or distance must experience a larger force and the higher deceleration. Now consider what happens when a car traveling 30 miles per hour hits a rigid wall, which shortens the stopping time or distance much more than panic braking. Let's again assume the driver is belted and decelerates with the passenger compartment. And let's also assume the car's front end crushes 1 foot with uniform deceleration of the passenger compartment throughout the crash. In this crash, the driver would experience 30 Gs. However, if the vehicle's front end was less stiff, so it crushed 2 feet instead of 1, the deceleration would be cut in half to 15 Gs. This is because the crush distance, or the time the force is acting on the driver, is doubled. Extending the time of impact is the basis for many of the ideas about keeping people safe in crashes. It's the reason for airbags and crumple zones in the vehicles you drive. It's the reason for crash cushions and breakaway utility poles on our highway. And it's the answer to the question I posed at the beginning of this film. This driver survived the crash because his deceleration from high speed took place over a number of seconds. This driver decelerated in a small fraction of a second and experienced forces that are often unsurvivable.